Well, folks, in today's video, we're going to be making some significant upgrades to the track work over on this side of the layout, including adding a brand new track through here, and for the first time ever, connecting up the trolley line to the rest of the layout. Now, around a year ago, we upgraded this single section of track into a two-track setup, and so far this has worked very well. The ability to run two different trains on the same layout with separate controllers has been great. The only exception of that being this one corner right here, which is just a little bit too tight for some of my larger locomotives. And the trolley line, as nice as it is, has never really been practical having two dead ends. But I think we can fix both problems with the same solution, and it's all with adding a handful of switches to this corner right here and in a couple other places. Now, I've already made some of the necessary upgrades to the layout, including rebuilding this entire line right here, which originally was just a little bit too close to the main line, so when trains were passing each other, they would actually make contact sometimes, which obviously is no good. I also added on this switch, which is going to be necessary for adding the new line right here. And then over on this side of the layout, I figured out another complicated problem, which was running the trolley line over this section of track. I actually had to turn this into a custom diamond, which took a little bit of effort, but I think is going to work pretty well. I've already ran a line right up here, which we're going to link up here. So once we get the trolley line linked up to this section of track, and the main line has a bypass over on the outer section, it will actually open up another circuit inside here. So all we need to do is somehow fandangle a set of rails which will link up to this side and create an entire loop for the trolley to run on. The wonderful thing is that a lot of the track is already here, but there is a little bit of a complication, which is in order to create enough room to actually run a track through here, we have to remove this house, which I'm not very inclined to do, and since there's this line back here, we can't push it any further. However, back in the day, I used a very poor angle of diamond, so I think if we straighten this out, it will actually allow us to move this track up, pull the house back, and then run the line up to where it will connect right there. So I think to start off, we'll rip up a little bit of this track right here, since trolleys can handle pretty sharp corners, and I think it's just going to clarify a lot of things once we have that all installed. It's now sometime later, and I'm pretty happy with how this one section of track is coming along. I think this curve looks pretty sharp. The inside curve, not so much. I just find the way that the switch kind of straightens out in these two spots makes the curve look a little bit strange, so I think we're definitely going to have to adjust something there. As for the trolley section, though, it seems to be working out pretty well. Been slowly putting all this together in gauge, and I think once we kind of cover that up with grass, it's going to be a lot more discreet. This guy keeps trying to eat all my stuff too, so I'm going to have to get him off the layout. Hey, it's not a good source of vitamin C. Hey, do you mind? In order to fix this problem, I'm just going to see if we can maybe extend the track a little bit here, which will separate these two, and maybe by adding this straight section here, it will look a little bit better. I have no idea if this is going to work, but we'll try it anyway and see if we can kind of rejig this. we'll move on to connecting up the other side of the circuit here. As I showed earlier, we've got this piece of track here, so we just got to figure out a way to kind of wind it in here. And I suspect that this is the best position. It looks like it all lines up pretty well, so we'll just cut out part of the track and then try to figure out how to link the two pieces together here. I got the curve all done. It took quite a bit of negotiating to get this in here with the existing track right beside it, but I think it looks just fine now. I also made some adjustments to the track along Main Street just because I noticed some sections were severely out of gauge. So at this point, we'll just test everything out with all my street cars, starting with the maintenance vehicle up here. That seems like a good start. We'll try it in the other direction now. That's kind of more what I was expecting there. See if that works. Yeah. Nope. Well, that seems to have fixed her pretty well. So I think at this point we'll move on to the Bachmann PCC streetcar. I really hope this thing will work because unlike this older piece of equipment, the flanges on these are not as deep, so they're not going to be quite as forgiving for bumps and things like that in the track. Well, we'll try it out anyhow. Well, we're off to a good start. That right there is awesome. It's exactly what I wanted out of this new trolley line. I think the only other thing I want to check out for kicks is to see if we can actually run a small train through here, do one of those scenes where you got a street running section. I don't really care if it works or not because this is really just for the trolleys, but it would be fun if we could run some small locomotives along this line. I'll see if this crappy 80s Bachmann is up for the task of running through all these really sharp curves here. Apparently so. That's great. No problems. This one curve looks so cursed with that thing running through. Let's try running some cars through it. Got a small train all put together here. I think the wheel sets themselves could probably handle the curves, but the couplers on the other hand I'm not so sure about. Ooh. Yeah, that's kind of more what I expected there. Maybe this will be a little more up for the task. We'll try it with these tinier cars and see if that works any better. Alright, so with that all sorted out, I think we'll move on to testing out the main line here. Gonna have to move a lot of buildings and stuff back into place, but this will also be a good opportunity to kind of negotiate all the vehicles around the new track, which is probably going to be used a lot more now. So we'll just try running this -8 through here and see how that goes. And we'll try it out on the new circuit here. So now I'm just going to solder all this together, then we'll add some ballast and other details just to really complete the new additions. As I've been laying this all out, I think it would actually make a lot more sense to put the Bass Pro Shop right behind the drive-in diner, and then we could actually run a road up to the abandoned building. I think it will really improve the look of the scene here. Got the road all painted up, and I'm really happy with how that's looking. I also added some detail to this scene right here, including some really classic brands and boats. So I think all we've got to do now is add some lines to the road and things should be good to go. Well, folks, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. I certainly had a lot of fun making all the changes to the layout today, and I'm quite happy with the results. Everything seems to be working quite well, and the ability to run 2 different trains on the main line and a trolley or small train on the inside circuit, I really think is a great new feature. It's almost like it should have always been this way, but you know what? Better late than never, and it's kind of helped a bunch of things click into place too. Like, it never really made sense that the parking lot behind the drive-in dine didn't have any spaces back here, so now there's a road to connect that. I find the Mosquitoes looks a lot better up against the mountain right here, since, you know, I had to push it back due to this track being here. And there's a road which connects the abandoned house, so it kind of just makes that whole scene make a lot more sense too. So, 2 more places to get some fast food, place to fuel up your Johnson, your Mercury, or your Revenrude, and an abandoned road for all the urban explorers out there. Anyways, with that, I just want to thank you all so much for watching.